Hello, I am Commissioner Emma I. Darnell. Welcome to Mighty Five Conversations. Conversations is a monthly information and communication program focusing on the sustainable community, economically strong, environmentally safe, with liberty, justice, and opportunity for all. The topic for today's conversation is the community library. What's going on? Thank you for joining us. I will be back in a moment. Joining me in the conversation today is Mrs. Kysh Robinson-Clemons, branch manager of the Perry Holmes Branch Library. Mrs. Robinson-Clemons is an Atlanta native and earned degrees from Frederick Douglass High School, Oglethorpe University, and a Master of Library Science from Clark Atlanta University. Welcome, Ms. Clemons.
Thank you, Commissioner Darnell. Glad to be here.
I know how things are going at the Perry Holmes Branch.
Yes, ma'am. Very busy.
You're very busy, and there are always plenty of folks there when you visit the Perry Holmes Branch Library.
Yes, ma'am.
And we really appreciate that because it's one of the most popular activities in that corridor.
Yes.
We know it's temporary.
Exactly.
We know you're going to be moving into the Northwest Regional Library, a 25,000 square foot library very soon. But the library is more than a building, isn't it, Ms. Robinson?
Yes,
Ms.
ma'am.
Clemons. Tell us a little bit about the program of the Perry Holmes Branch. You know, in my day and your mother's day, we looked at the library for circulation, for taking out books and going to read. This is not your mother's library and mine, though, is it?
No, ma'am.
It's a little different now.
Just a little
isn't
bit.
it?
We still have a lot of people coming in to read the books, and they come in and check out movies.
Children do too.
Children, definitely. That's our biggest population that's coming in. They're coming for story times. We just had a group come in, over 120 kids, for a library tour.
120.
And checked out books, and the principal was like, they're so excited. They can't wait to come back in the fall.
Yeah.
So they're coming back. They're still reading, and we look forward to the different programs that we have. The kids have access to computers, so they get to do their homework, do research.
And I imagine some of those kids don't really have computers at home, do they?
No, ma'am. So a lot of times for the kids, that's the only source they have to be able to do their homework and get the information, type up things. So they come to the library. A lot of times we even have a school bus that pulls up and let the kids out right in the parking lot.
School buses?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
And I guess their parents come there too often to use a computer, don't they?
Yes, ma'am. A lot of them come in the morning because with the economy the way it was, a lot of people didn't have internet at home, so they use the library as their resource, not only to do the things they needed, for instance, paying bills, but definitely looking for jobs. We try to offer not only access to the computers for them to do job searching, but also to provide classes that they can get some assistance in, writing resumes, preparing for interviews. So we're helping the whole family to be able to succeed.
So it's a little bit more to it now than just coming in to read, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
I understand also in providing resources to families that you connect these families with your GED program.
Yes, ma'am. We are constantly trying to promote the GED program. We offer the GED testing at our central library. So we try to encourage people not only to take the test there, but also to prepare for it by taking the classes at that location. And we have several at the central library. Yes, ma'am. So we have classes at several other branches. For instance, Adamsville, Collier Heights Library. So they can go in, take the classes, and prepare for the test. We have materials at all of our branches that they can check out in order to prepare for it. And then our eCampus has access to GED prep. So if they have access to a computer, they can actually be at home, practice the test, see how they're doing, and see what they may need assistance with.
Well, we are very interested in that because access to these materials is really, really critical.
Yes, ma'am.
We have so many areas where there is no access to educational materials and access to computers. It's interesting, Mrs. Clemons, how heavily used these services are.
Yes, ma'am. They definitely come in. I can remember working in the department with the GED, and you would have lines of people that would sign up
Lines,
that
that's
were
what they
trying to get
tell me.
in. Even some of the branches now, when they go in just to use computers, you have a wait time. People may walk in, and it's an hour wait before they can get to a computer because there's so many people who need to go in. And a lot of them are not just playing on the computer; they're actually doing jobs, taking classes. We have access for people to take online classes for just for pleasure. They can take them for credit, and it's all free through the library's website. So we have the availability of information and a wealth of ideas and things that they can work on while they are in the library, even at home with access to the computers.
Well, I understand that many of the most stable, some of the oldest and most historic communities in Fulton County and in Northwest Atlanta are in your service area.
Yes, ma'am.
What are some of those communities, Ms. Clemons?
We have the Riverside community. We have Carver Hills, Whittier Mills. That's there.
Those are historic communities.
Yes, ma'am. So they've been there. We pulled up information even from the early 1800s where they talked about some of the, as we say, we go down the streets and now you find out that these names, they're named after the people who actually own that property 200 years ago. So we try to make sure that we have information that people can access and find out about the historical part of it, especially as we're getting ready to move to our new site. We said we want people to know why we're moving, why we're naming the library as we did, and we want to make sure that they know. So it's the Scotts Crossing, where the library will be located, is definitely one that we want people to know about the history of that area.
Well, I know the folks in that area are very, very sensitive about their history.
Yes, ma'am.
And the fact that the library can provide that service to them is one of the reasons that branch is so popular in the community. I also have noted that you have some very strong connections with nonprofits in that area that work with the people,
Yes.
like the Agape program, for an example. Tell us about those connections that you have with other groups in the community that are working with your clients.
Yes, ma'am. The Agape Center is one of our biggest supporters. We're there to help them. They're there to help us. They do a lot for the community, especially with low-income families. So they're always reaching out. They do their great backpack giveaway. And one of the things that the library does is we set up boxes for people to bring in school supplies for the kids. So every year they're giving away over 1,000 backpacks to kids who may not have backpacks or school supplies.
So
to start
Agape
with.
works with you all on
Yes,
that.
ma'am. And then in the fall, we actually still collect for when they get ready to do their Thanksgiving basket giveaway. So we're working with them. A lot of our kids that come to the library also go to Agape. They've come up to use library resources for the kids to help them do their homework and work with this summer program. So it's a really good community outreach that we have, and we want to keep that relationship going.
And by you all working together, then the clients get the benefit of both organizations, the services of both organizations,
Yes,
don't
ma'am.
they?
Definitely. We're so
Yeah.
proud because we have a young man who came through and would come and use the library every week, and he's going to school on a full scholarship.
Isn't
And
that
this is a young
wonderful?
man that I've watched for the last 7 years that come in, and he would come in every weekend. But every weekend he would get his work done, and then he'd go to the Agape Center and do whatever he needed. And we're just so proud of him, seeing his accomplishments.
Yes. Well, since you all recognize him, give us his name.
And that is Ricky, and I forgot his last name.
I didn't ask you to do that.
Yes,
ma'am. But we're going to publicize it because
Yes,
that'll
ma'am.
be so much encouragement to the other young people who are using the library and who also go to Agape.
Yes, ma'am.
There are some other organizations too that I know that you work with over there at the Perry Home branch that help you and where you help them.
Yes, ma'am. We work with the Riverside Residents Association.
I want you to mention that association because they're very active in the community.
Yes, ma'am, with Gerald Wilson, and he's been one of the biggest library supporters that's there. He's lived there basically his whole life.
I call him Mr. Riverside.
Mr. Riverside, yes, ma'am. So he's there, and he's always
Yes.
helping.
He loves children.
Loves the children. He does the soccer program for the kids. He does the Easter egg hunt. At Christmas, he's doing the Christmas basket. So he's always there and trying to pull the kids in, making sure they have the information they need. He has a lot of kids, we call his adopted kids, that he's had since they were young because he wanted to make sure that they got the things they needed in order to succeed. If it meant he had to go up to the school, make sure the papers were signed, because a lot of times the parents were working so they couldn't go during the regular hours. So Jerry has definitely been a force, and we enjoy having him come in and utilize the library. And he even uses for Riverside, they come in and use our meeting room for their quarterly meetings. So that's another way.
That's why we have that meeting room,
yes,
don't we?
Ma'am. We are so glad that we have one at the site because we have different groups coming in constantly, and they're like, oh, we can use the room. And they're coming in, they're just so excited about being there and being able to meet without having to go somewhere and pay for a space when they can use it in their own community.
Well, Ms. Clemons, we're going to come back and talk about the summer program and about the children's programs in particular. But I am just really excited, as so many of us are, to know that the Perry Homes branch has this kind of close relationship
Yes,
with the community, because it's the children and their families who actually benefit
yes, definitely.
from it.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us. Ms. Clemons, you said that the basic purpose of the branch, in fact, the Fulton County Library, the basic purpose is mission, I think you use, is lifelong learning.
Yes, ma'am.
And that lifelong learning doesn't begin when you reach 50, it begins before then, doesn't it?
Yes, ma'am. We want to catch the kids early on, so we have a lot of activities for the preschoolers as they're learning to read, to introduce them to the library. One of the things I told them, I said, let them get the book, even if it's upside down. They at least know they're supposed to hold the book
Even
and look
if
at
it's
the picture.
upside down.
Read, as we tell them, read the pictures and tell the story so they can start knowing. And we encourage them. We have different activities that the kids are there for so they can learn how to read, how they can pick materials up and learn the alphabets and the colors, because even talking to some of the daycares, we figure out they don't have a lot of time to work with the kids individually, and we don't want our kids to be left behind, because if they start off early being left behind, they will never catch up. So the library is a place where they can come in and pick up their books. They can go online. We have one of our access to a program called Book Flicks, and it actually reads the books to the kids on the screen, so it introduces them to the words. And this is something they can do for free. They just click on it and it goes through. And we've had kids that were just sitting there, just mesmerized for an hour, just going through every story, and they just want to hear the stories. They love to have someone read to them.
They love it.
They love it.
They're so excited. I can, you know, when they are participating in that program, they love it.
They do, and it's something that they come back and you see them after almost 20 years in the system, as we say, those kids that we started with, and now they're grown and their kids are coming to the library, and you're like, oh, I'm getting old, but you see it and it's a good thing because they know, come back to the library, get the resources that you need. If they need to do research, they know. So it continues on with that lifelong learning and passing it on from generation to generation.
That must be very rewarding to you as a professional librarian.
It is. Some days it's kind of rough and things are going bad, and you look and some of the kids come in and they tell you, I got an A. The information you gave me helped me. We had someone who was trying to do math, and went on tutor.com and got assistance with, and they were so excited to see it. And I looked at one of my coworkers and said, that's why we come to work every day. We want to see them achieve. We want to see when they can do things, when they pick up a book. When the kids came for the tour, it was just exciting to see them so excited about finding that one book they wanted to read, and they run through the library, I got a book, I got a book. Or when they first get their library card, and they're just so proud, and they walk around, this is my card. I have have my own library card. So it's something that you want to see. And as we say, they keep using that library card, and they use it for different things other than checking out or just using the computers. Go in and access, we give you access to the world for the most part, just through your library card.
Well, that's the tradition of the Perry Homes branch. Yeah, it has a tradition of strong community support.
Yes, ma'am.
And where a branch library is supporting children, then you have the families then.
Oh, yes. We see the kids before we see the parents,
yes.
and then they'll bring the parents in.
They
like,
bring
we
the
have
parents.
to come.
I know that's been the tradition over there.
Yes, ma'am.
So lifelong learning is really, you mean beginning at preschool?
Beginning at preschool. And we have the Books for Baby program, so we actually would start before that. So when they're at the hospital, they can get their library card. We've had people walk in and be like, but the baby's a month old. They need a card. So you can check out their books.
Yes.
And I mean, I've told him, I said, even for my son, we would check out books and he would sit in the crib and he would just pay attention to them. I said, that's what you want them to do, to get excited about reading now. Because one of the things we find is that, especially for summer, the kids think, oh, it's time out, we're not gonna do anything. And as they sit around for the summer, they lose those skills. So when school starts back, it's a month or 2 months before the teachers can get them back into the swing of things, and they've lost that time.
And the schools tell us that every year.
Every year, and they've been better about giving them reading lists. Even on today, I've had kids coming in and they were like, we got to get our books in for our reading program for the summer. So they're coming in, and you still see that the kids are excited about getting books and reading, and they're walking out, or they'll check out a book and go sit, and an hour later you look and they're still sitting there reading, and they'll finish the book before they even go home. So that's one of the things we really are excited about. And then we see the parents do the same thing. They come in we have several patrons that come in every week, and they're checking out material, want to know the new books, want to try this new author. Let me try something different. I read all of these books. So we really
just excited about learning.
About it. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
that's what it's supposed to be about. And
yes.
What the educators tell me is that the library is just unique as an institution. In this particular area, where you actually see children and their parents excited.
Yes, yes.
About learning, and that's so important. Well, you have a special program that you're kicking off for summer. When is the big date at the Perry Homes branch? I understand that there is a special date at all the branches.
Our
had yours.
We had ours this morning. We had our kickoff
morning.
this morning, and several branches are doing. They try to get them in those first couple of weeks in June so that they can go ahead and do the rest of the programs. But we're looking forward to all the programs during the summer. We have a variety of programs.
Tell us about some of the programs. I know
Yes,
the families would want to know.
Yes, ma'am. For the kids, we have a lot of the story times, of course, that we have for them to come in. But we have several branches that will have magicians coming in, because our summer reading theme. Yes, ma'am. The summer reading theme for this year is Fizz, Boom, Read.
Yeah.
So we're focusing on a lot of the science topics. So they're going to have magicians that tie in.
Focusing on science.
Yes, ma'am. So,
yes.
And even for the teens, we'll have programs where they're working with, one group is going to do with slime. They're going to create the slime. They're going to go in and learn how to just how scientific things work for the teens, and even programs for the adults. But our main focus is with the kids, getting them to come in. So we have the different groups that will come in with the crafts. We have a lot of our sponsors that will come in. We have a lot of groups that are coming in. For instance, Kaiser that's coming in with safety.
Yeah,
for
tell
the
us
summer.
about those sponsors. They play an important
Yes,
role, don't they?
We have a lot that will come in and do our free programs. So Kaiser Permanente does programs throughout the system. We have the BioBus that's coming in at several
I don't
branches.
mind giving them a plug.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes.
We usually don't call names, but we call names here.
Yes, ma'am. And
Yes,
then
when they are supporting
they
our programs
definitely
like this.
support. And one of the things that we also have is with the Atlanta Braves and Atlanta Hawks. They are focusing on with the reading program, so they encourage the kids to read.
Atlanta Braves and Hawks.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So with the kids read, they can get a free ticket to one of the games.
Yes.
So that's another incentive for the
You've had
kids
that
to do.
program for some time.
Yes,
haven't you?
ma'am. This is the 10th year for the Hawks. So we're really looking forward to having the kids come in, because what happens with our summer reading program is the kids read 10 books for the summer. Then they come in and they can register for drawings. and we will be giving away 2 Kindles, a gift card, and then we found out today that V103 is going to come in and actually give away several cash prizes for the kids. So we're really looking forward to having the kids. I think once that's promoted, they're going to really come in and make sure they turn in those reading logs.
And what I like about the library is they're already excited about learning and reading. They don't have to be bribed with gifts.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And I'm sure that's what corporate sponsors are looking at. You know, they're looking at the fact that the library, working with the community and the schools, the children and their families are already excited,
Yes,
about reading, and they're just adding a little special reward to that.
Right, because that's
Yes.
one of the things they've always told. They say your program, you seem to be working in the community, working with the family, so we
I
don't
know,
mind
it makes
giving
a
you
difference.
things. Yes, it does. It
makes a difference when they see the government is doing what they should do.
Yes.
And that is having these close connections like you have with the community. And then outcomes, too, the outcomes that you all have. I mean, you know, with children being excited and interested in reading a book. Ricky's last name, what was Ricky's name?
Ricky Waddell.
Ricky Waddell.
And he just graduated from North Atlanta, so he is going to be headed off to
Started
college.
right there at Perry Homes.
Yes, ma'am.
That's been the history and tradition.
Right.
You all ought to have an alumni party. Because that's been the tradition of that branch. You know, so many children who started, even back when you had nothing but a trailer.
Right.
At the old Perry Homes branch. Children came out of that trailer and went to college.
And that's the thing we told them, it's not your environment where you came from. It's like, what are you going to do with it? And there's so many opportunities that are there, and you see the kids succeed. And when they come back, there's still a lot of kids, they come back and you look and you're like, wait a minute, I remember when you were 5 and they're graduating from college, from high school, they're coming in doing their internship. We had one young lady that stayed with us for the summer, and she's a flight attendant for Delta now, and she walked in and you go like, wait a minute, I remember when. And you're just so proud of them because they've been able to accomplish so much.
Well, Ms. Clemons, I tell you, this is just wonderful to hear because so many times in government, we can get so caught up in policies and procedures and legislation and analysis and task forces until we lose sight of the fact that what we're doing is to impact people.
Yes.
And what you all are doing at the Perry Homes branch and throughout the Fulton County Library system as a community library to impact children and their families is something that all the residents of Fulton County, and especially the residents of Mighty 5, are certainly proud of. We thank you so very much for coming in today, Ms. Clemons, and you will continue to have my support and the support of the entire Board of Directors.
Thank you so much.
I'll be back in a moment with closing thoughts. The Georgia Policy Institute has found that Georgia ranks 6th in the nation in child poverty. Further, that, quote, lagging academic opportunities and achievement among poor children and adults reinforce the cycle of poverty. Academic performance of low-income children in grades K through 12 continues to lag behind the performance of other children, end of quote. The Fulton County Library's commitment to lifelong learning, including the expansion of educational opportunities for all children and their families, irrespective of zip code, has been considered by many school officials not only as one of the county's most popular programs, but also one of the most helpful and supportive. That's all the time we have for today's conversation. Until next time, Stay strong. To learn more about today's conversation, contact me at 404-612-8222. That's 404-612-8222. You can also email me at emma.darnell@fultoncountyga.gov. Visit us online at emmadarnell.com or connect with us on Facebook or Twitter.